Okay, in this video we're going to design a vase in Onshape for printing in vase mode. Vase mode is a setting in your slicer software. The picture you see here is a vase being ready to be printed in vase mode in Idea Maker slicing software. However, other slicing softwares also have vase mode, sometimes called spiral mode. Today you will do some simple sketches. You will use the fillet tool as well as the center rectangle tool. You'll use the offset plane tool while in sketch, and you'll use the loft tool, and you'll learn to work within the constraints of vase mode. What that means is that designing for vase mode is a little bit different than designing for regular 3D printing. In regular 3D printing, you have a shell, an outer shell, and then you have infill material, and you also can use supports that hold overhangs up that hang out over the side of your object. In vase mode, you have no infill and no supports. So you're simply printing a shell of your object. Okay, so let's get started by going to Onshape. Okay, I'm going to open up this. This is the basic design that we're going to be doing. This was my third design. It's designed to hold a 5-inch tall and 5/8 diameter test tube inside of it. So let's go ahead and create our own document. We're going to go click on Onshape. You may already be in this window. This is basically the dashboard for Onshape. We're going to click on the blue Create button. We're going to create a document, create public document. We'll go ahead and give this a title of Square Vase. Let's call it 2 since I've already done 1. And then we'll check our workspace units. Click on the 3 bars. Workspace units are in inches. If yours is preset to millimeters, change it to inches and then accept those settings. Okay, so we're almost ready to get started. First thing I'm going to do is align my view to the top. I'm going to click on the top plane to select that plane, and now I'm going to create a sketch on that plane. So I'm going to use the center rectangle tool. Normally this is preset to the corner rectangle. So you need to click the down arrow and select center point rectangle. Okay, and now we're ready to create this sketch. I'm going to start at the origin of the top plane, and I'm going to drag out a rectangle. Now, without clicking on anything else, I'm going to type in my dimensions, 1.25, enter, and then I do it again because this is going to be square. 1.25, enter. And now I can use the sketch fillet tool. So I select that tool from the toolbar and I click on the 4 corners of my square. And then I click one more time and it's asking me if I like that radius, 0.25. And that's what I want, so I click enter. And now I can accept that sketch. Okay, so we've made the bottom of our vase. Now let's turn our view, let's turn our view this way. So I'm looking at the top now from a slight angle, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the plane tool. Some other tool may be displayed here, so if it is, then you need to use the drop down and find the plane tool. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new plane to draw on. And I want to offset it, so I'm going to leave this set to offset. And I'm going to offset it from my first, the top plane. So it's offset 1 inch. I'm going to leave it 1 inch above the top plane. And I will just accept that. Now we have a new plane. And what I want to do is find a way of selecting that plane. I gotta be, you know what I could do is hide some of these other planes. I'm gonna hide the front plane. I'm gonna hide the right plane. So now I just have these two planes. Let me go back to my isometric view. Okay, let me see if I can get plane 1 is selected. I'm going to create a new sketch. And again, I'm going to get my front on view again, my top view. So now I'm creating sketch number 2. I'm going to select this center rectangle tool, and I'm going to start at the origin again, and I'm going to draw a rectangle. Click. Now, type in my new dimensions, which are 1.75, enter, 1.75, enter. And again, I want to use this fillet tool to round those corners. I'll click one more time on my mouse, and then I'll click return to accept the 1/4 inch, and I'll click on the green check mark. So now I have 2 layers of my vase. Let's click on that plane, plane 1, and we're going to offset up from plane 1. But instead of going up 1 inch, this time I want to go up 2 inches. So I'll highlight that and I'll enter 2, enter. Okay, so now it's 2 inches above. And I'll orient to the top. And, oh, I will accept that plane. Now I'm going to click on plane 2. Make sure you get plane 2 and not plane 1 or top. And I'm going to create a sketch on plane 2. And then I will use the center rectangle tool again. And this one is going to get smaller. So I'm going to make a smaller rectangle. And it's going to be 0.7, enter, by 0.7, enter. Okay. This is the part that's going to come in and cinch up to that 5-inch diameter test tube. 0.7 is a little bit more than 5/8, but we've got the wall thickness, and then we also are going to have some shrinkage. So that will fit nice and snug. And I will fillet those corners. If I'm too far away, I can zoom in a little bit. Click one more, click and enter, and accept that sketch. Okay, we've got 3 layers built. We're going to build one more layer. So I'm going to click on plane 2. And now I'm going to click on my plane tool again. And we're going to offset this time from plane 2. And I want to offset 2 inches again. That's going to get me my 5-inch height total. So now I've got plane 3 up above plane 2. I'm going to accept this new plane 3. I'm going to click on plane 3. I'm going to orient to the top. I'm going to start my new sketch. And you probably know what I'm going to do by now. I'm going to get that center rectangle tool. I'm going to start at the origin. And this time I'm going to get a little bigger. It's going to be the same size as my base. 1.25, enter. 1.25, enter. Since I'm using a mouse to move my camera angle, I can do it by right-clicking and scrolling around with my mouse. Okay, so again, I want to do fillets. Click on those corners. Got all 4 corners. Click one more time. Click return to accept the radius. And then accept my sketch. Okay, now I have all 4 layers that are going to be joined together. Now this next step is where the magic happens. I know I've been talking fast. I hope you are pausing and doing one step and then moving on. So make sure you get caught up with me having these 4 sketches on top, plane 1, plane 2, and plane 3. Now we are going to use the loft tool. This volcano looking icon is the loft tool. So I'm going to click on that. We're going to be doing a new solid. Okay. And I am going to click on my profiles. So that means the things that I want to connect together. So I'm going to click on this square and this square and this square and this square. And isn't that cool? That's all there is to creating the loft. Once we have these drawings on the parallel planes, we can connect them all together. Okay, so now let's accept that sketch. Okay, and there is my sketch. Let's say I wanted to make some changes to this. I want you to do this exact design, but what I hope is that you start wanting to get creative with it. So if you want to get creative with it, this is designed in Part Studio 1. And if I come down to Part Studio 1 and right click, or I believe it's control click if you're on a Chromebook without a mouse, then I can duplicate this Part Studio. So now I have an exact copy of it in Part Studio 1, copy 1. And of course I could go in and get to renaming it the same way, but for time I'm not going to do that. So let's just change something and see how flexible this actually is. So plane 3, we rose up 2 inches. But what if we made it just 1 inch up? So I'm going to right click on plane 3 in my left hand margin, and I'm going to click on edit. And I can just change this offset distance to 1 inch. Enter. And once I accept that with the green check mark, it changes my shape. So now I have a 4-inch tall mug, and this is sloping a little faster, but we're still within our constraints. So there's a way that you can make changes to your design, okay? What if I wanted it to, well, that's all the time we have, so I'm going to end this video right here.